Though most of us don't necessarily care about the size of a male's, well, product, according to some people, they actually want to know exactly how big it is. So, of course, there's an app for that. Now, Apple took it upon themselves to actually create an app called Check Your Chubby, in which you insert male's arm length and feet length to actually calculate the size of his product. Now, the only issue coming from this is that there's actually a rocker from the late 80s named Chubby Checker. And because of this, he's actually found this to be a large tension coming between him and Apple. What they've seen is that Chubby Checker hasn't necessarily given them the right to utilize his name on such a brand or such a logo either. And because of this, he's actually created quite a catastrophe coming towards Apple. You see, Chubby Checker is actually suing Apple for $500 million. Now, though this is a dispute that kind of seems obscure and kind of double-sided, it can be actually directly paralleled to Japan and China. You see, according to a CNN News article dated March of 2013, it actually states the recent arguments between China and Japan over the Senkaku Islands is actually pretty double-sided and is almost up to luck as to whether either country will actually win it over. Which brings us to today's question. Should the United States support China or Japan in the Senkaku Island dispute? And I must answer strongly with a support towards the country of China for three main reasons. The first being that it will better the United States and Chinese relations. Secondly, that the United States soft power in the region will actually increase and be able to utilize to smooth out Japan and Chinese tension. And finally, we'll understand the benefits coming off of this more significantly from Japan if we actually smooth out this dispute through the use of soft power towards the country of China. So yes, we are going to support through the use of China because of the fact that doing so will actually better United States relationships with China as well as overall stability in the region. So now, let's move to our first area of analysis, understanding exactly what's going on between the United States and China and how our relations can be bettered and will be bettered by this growing support in the Senkaku issue. According to a Bloomberg article dated March 12th of 2013, it states that China has actually agreed to open up talks with the United States over its recent cyber attacks that have been acclaimed against the country of China, expressing to the United States that China is actually opening up its eyes to actually smoothen out some of the issues going on in their country as far as the United States is concerned, expressing that the support of this country may actually be beneficial because this country is actually looking towards the United States as someone that they value rather than someone that they simply want to have issues with. Now, continuing on this, a CNN News article actually continues on an article from today which states that China has It states that China has shockingly supported the United States and the UN in its recent sanctions against North Korea as far as their releasing of their armistice was concerned. Now, what we see here is that China has actually not necessarily turned its back on one of its biggest allies, but rather moved towards other countries to form even bigger allies with them, showing more stability coming off of this, causing more positive relationships in the region as well as the global community as a whole. Now, what the United States must do to act on this is in fact do the same thing that China has done to North Korea, only to the country of Japan. You see, not necessarily turning our back on Japan, but rather putting some alliances towards China rather than only sticking firm with our current allies, causing greater allies in both Japan and China. The reason behind this is because as a country sees another country slightly moving away, they'll take bigger steps to better their relationships. So this will automatically cause incentive for Japan to better our relationships as well as China to better our relationships, causing an overall more stable region as far as the United States is concerned. Bringing us to our next area of analysis, understanding exactly how the United States can help in smoothing out the tension between China and Japan. You see, according to a Bloomberg News article from February 23rd, 2013, it actually states that Japan no longer has incentive as far as the island of Senkaku is concerned. You see, the Prime Minister from Japan reported to CNN on also February 23rd of 2013 that he no longer wants to take steps to, as far as claiming Senkaku is concerned, but rather wants to take steps to bettering the world's third largest economy, being the country of Japan, showing us that we will automatically have benefits coming off of Japan if we take steps towards supporting China, because Japan no longer has incentive to even carry on this feud. Furthermore, a New York Times article dated February 12, 2013 continues by stating that China states they will do anything to win over this region and anything to win over the island of Senkaku. Now, what this is showing is that China may take unstable steps in order to pursuing the island of Senkaku, which is something that we do not want happening. But rather than doing this, we'll simply take steps as the United States to smooth out this ongoing tension and actually find a more realistic and more rational way of doing so. Now, in conclusion, we can move back to the topic at hand today. Should the United States support China or Japan in the Senkaku Island dispute? And we must answer with a firm support towards China. And we've seen this through three main areas of analysis. The fact that if we move our support towards China, it will better their region, it will better United States and Chinese relationships, and furthermore, the idea that Japan actually has no incentive in doing so as far as Senkaku is concerned, causing more benefits to come off of their country that will better the overall global community concerning the United States, Japan, and China as a whole. So in conclusion, we must support China to see a better tomorrow.